You can change around. They've got like set in ones and then uploading photos like you've
Oh,
done as
hold on.
well.
Virtual background. There you go. This is where I really.
Ah, there we go.
That's where I really am. Which is still. It's just a spare bedroom.
Hey,
Or
it's
you.
that is a good studio setup. That's working very, very nicely, man. Absolutely. I'll make sure we keep this little clip in.
What was that?
I think that works. I think that's got a spooky vibe. Almost a good album cover. Mate.
I can't believe no one else was thinking to do this.
Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Roxanne with the latest in our video calls while everyone's stuck at home. I'm delighted to say from Twin Atlantic, Sam's on the line now. How are you, Sam?
I've been better, but overall I'm pretty good.
I mean, you look pretty good where you are right now. Talk me through this ridiculous background you put together, because I'm really enjoying it.
These are. I feel like I'm a weatherman with that. Look at that.
Yeah, a little bit. You're giving off weather vibes for sure.
They're just three of my favourite, biggest sounding pedals, no pun intended. But I was messing it. I've never used Zoom before, so I was just looking. I was like scrolling through all the options and stuff when I was waiting for our call time to come around, and I thought this was better than like my spare room that I'm sitting in.
Yeah, I've kept it simple so far, but I think maybe now you've started this trend. Maybe I'll just put every artist's album cover behind me or something. Really freak them out. Yeah, just as it appears. Well, speaking of albums, man, like, you know, congratulations. Last time we spoke to you, Power was, I guess, just about to drop. Now it's out there in the world. Everyone's heard it. How are you looking back on this already? You know, good reactions from fans so far by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's been. Do you know? A lot of the stuff that you see online, like people talking about, I don't know, everyone's a critic, right? So you kind of got to just avoid looking into it too much. Even like magazines and how you guys receive it and whatever, it shouldn't really matter to me. Do you know what I mean? I've already done my thing. So if I allowed myself to get too wrapped up in what people thought, I don't know, I'd probably get writer's block or something pretty easily. So I just kind of like let it do its thing. But the thing that really, really matters to me is how people like receive it live. And we were in the middle of a UK tour before the shit hit the fan. And the reaction we were getting was amazing. That's the thing that really, really does matter to me and I care about. So far, so good.
Yeah, that's always the big test, I suppose, when you get out in front of those crowds for the first time. Were there any tracks in particular off the record that have really, really kicked off in the live show?
Well, we're opening with Novocaine. That was
nice. Big choice. That's a big choice.
High octane, high energy. It's a very typically Twin Atlantic thing to do, is to come out the gates like all guns blazing. We've got zero chill when it comes to playing live. We can't help ourselves. That, and then there was a curveball. There's a song on the album called Ultraviolet Truth, and I wasn't even like talking it up too much. Sometimes I do the whole frontman thing where I try and like encourage people to get into it, but we just kind of rolled into that one just to see if it would even make sense next to our older songs, and it was getting a really, really, really good reaction. So surprised us, that one.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. It's always nice when those ones that you maybe don't expect to be the real highlight of the show suddenly kick into gear. That's really, really cool to hear. And I guess with that tour you've just been on, that obviously, you know, rescheduling some dates very understandably, as everyone's doing right now. But in terms of those initial dates you did manage to get done, kind of smaller venues than you were used to. It was kind of purposely quite an intimate tour that you were kicking off with. What was it like returning to rooms that size and hitting them hard with these new tunes?
Surprisingly comfortable. Like, although we've been kind of been sat in the studio for, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but 2.5 years. But in between, we were going and playing. We were doing arena shows with like Catfish and the Bottlemen, and we were still doing big slots at festivals like Main Stage at Reading and Leeds and stuff like that. So, I don't know, man. It just fits so well. We love playing live, any size. I feel like we could do any show. I don't mean that in an arrogant way. It's just that we just put so much thought and energy into it that like I don't know, man, we just dive into it. We love it. Yes, they were a little bit smaller than we could play, but we, instead of doing, like, for example, in Scotland, instead of doing one big show or 2 or 3 nights at the one venue, like, we dotted around different towns that we'd never been to before, or which I can't believe there is places in Scotland that we hadn't actually played after all these years. Or we were going back to places that we hadn't been to in a long time, but just playing like the venue size down. And the same for like the shows in England. But I'm itching to be doing those big rooms again, man. I want to.
I'll bet.
There's plans afoot. Because there's something, I don't know what it is about our band, or a lot of people have said to me before it's because the choruses are just so obnoxiously oversized.
I don't know if we'd say obnoxiously oversized. They're big. That's a good thing for a chorus to be.
Like I said, zero chill. We get to the chorus, we try to be really reserved and like finesse it, but we just end up like going full. These pedals are a great visual representation of what happens when I get to the chorus. But yeah, no, it's always just made more sense in a bigger room. But that being said, we do love starting off an album and as kind of more of a kind of intimate, humble way that we can, because it just feels a bit more genuine that you've got to like work the album up to the point where maybe, because we're only playing rooms those sizes because of like our previous successes. I don't like saying that word, but you know what I mean.
Of course,
to get there on its own merit.
Yeah, you want the songs to build a reputation of their own, I suppose, and find their own audience in that way. Speaking of that tour, though, as well, you did mention, of course, playing Scottish places you've never ever played before. Now, maybe I'm just biased because I'm from Edinburgh anyway, but Scottish crowds go hard, and we know they go harder than really anywhere else in the world. What was it like hitting those far corners of the nation and bringing the show to them?
Amazing, man, amazing. I feel almost like we're cheating when we're in Scotland. Like I don't really have to whip the crowd into a frenzy, or do any of the sort of like, let me hear you over this side, let me hear you over this. It just happens, man. Especially we played Kilmarnock on a Saturday night. I think I'm sure it was a Saturday or a Friday night. Just chaos, man. Chaos. Dangerous, but the good lifelong memory, dangerous sort of shows.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. It's what we like to hear north of the border for sure. Absolutely. And I feel like last time we spoke to you, when the album was kind of just about to drop, you were talking about how you were trying new things on the record, and you guys, it really seemed like you were in a really good place and you kind of found some, I don't know how to describe it, maybe some renewed confidence, I suppose. Like it really felt like you were hitting the ground running with this record and going hard with it. Do you feel that's continuing now that it's actually out there in the world?
Yeah. It's an interesting way of looking at it. Like maybe we just got more confident, because from our perspective, we just got maybe slightly more knowledge of how to like write songs or work things in a studio. But I suppose that comes with confidence. But it's nice to know that's how it's been read. Well, thank you. But no, of course, like the thing about the way that we make music is that it's spawned out of boredom, right? It came from, because we were just initially going to gigs, and there's only so many. Well, personally, I felt like there was only so many gigs that I could go to until it started to be like the same feeling over and over again. And I know that's enough for most people, but there was just this little thing in the back of my head that I wanted to try it. And because that's like the origin of our band, we've tried to like stay really, really true to that, so that once we do tick a box of a certain type of album or a certain way of working, it's almost like autopilot, like we have to try something else, even although like repeating ourselves would actually probably be a lot better for our fans, and it'd be easier to write about us and review us and all that sort of, because you would know what you were getting. But there's just I don't know, there's just this inbuilt drive to want to be artistic. And it's quite a hard thing to do, obviously, in the rock genre, because it's so old and it's been reinvented so many times. But I just kind of see that as even more of a challenge, and it's just magnetic to me. I can't help it. So even if this record did get particularly bad reviews or it didn't go down well live, we would have still kept on being awkward, I'm afraid.
I think that's a good thing, though. What you call awkward, I think, is what a lot of fans identify with in not just yourself, in many bands. What keeps it exciting is an ability and a willingness to keep trying new stuff. You know, the last thing you want to see a band do, even if you love a particular album, is see them stay exactly the same all the way through. I mean, you must find that with bands that you've grown up loving as well.
Totally. Mate, I want my fucking rock stars to be willing to embarrass themselves and to not care. That's kind of the whole point, I think. Like the ethos of rock and roll is double edged when I when I take a bit more of a kind of a broad picture, like big picture look at it. It's like to be the voice of the people for that generation, but then also to be like this total reckless abandon and just zero fucks about, not about anything, but about how you express yourself. So yeah, that's what I've always been kind of inspired by, like musicians that have been that way, or bands that have always managed to kind of straddle that line between those two outlooks.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of moving forward, I mean, I guess it's so early. I don't want to ask you about new music because the album's literally just come out there and everything. But you guys did set up your own studio space. You are kind of taking a lot more control over when you put stuff out, how you put it out, all that kind of stuff. Have you started thinking about what comes next in terms of Twin Atlantic's future?
Yeah, I've kind of always had a bad habit. Maybe it's good. I don't know. There's a bit of a theme here where I think I'm being annoying and I've got bad habits that to be what people maybe want. But we've always, like the day our album comes out, that's when we start thinking about the next one. Because once we get that sort of euphoric high of it being out, you can very easily hit the immediate low. And to distract myself from that, I just dive into like making new stuff, and the studio is just a total lifeline for us. I think I'd maybe said to you before, like obviously we've been going for over 10, what is it, like, what year is it?
It's 2020, yeah, so it'll be over 10 now.
Like 13 years we've been going, so see, to have something to show for all that, like we've obviously got the gear and a bit of, there's so much to learn. It's like an ever evolving sort of art form, so we're always kind of learning, but the studio just means that we can go in there and be embarrassed and make mistakes and maybe come up with something new. So basically the day the record came out, we started working on another one.
Wow. So in terms of,
I've always done that. I've always been writing, and hold on, I don't know how to turn this stupid background thing off now that
I like it. It's good. Stay with it. Don't.
I'm in my spare room. Like I had a feeling that with the coronavirus stuff that was happening, I was getting laughed at by a lot of people, and a lot of my friends and stuff were like, you're over exaggerating and whatnot. I was like, we're going to go into lockdown the same as all the other countries, and our studio is in a separate building, obviously. So I just went and got all my essential stuff and set it up at home. So that's what I've been doing so far.
Brilliant. Yeah, smart move, man. Really smart move. That's great to hear. So this is your quarantine. Basically, it's now in the studio.
Yeah. Well, wow. My spare room, my daughter's room. I feel bad. There was a crib in here and all that, and I'm still surrounded by like cuddly toys and things.
That's good. Are we gonna get some new cuddly toy inspired Twin songs? Is this what's gonna happen?
Subliminally, like that. I don't even realize that I'm writing about, but maybe.
Yeah, Teddy Bear, the new album from Twin Atlantic. It's coming. Yeah, I can see it. How many songs have you written then, or is it demo stages? What kind of stuff are you working on at the minute?
Do you know how many? I mean, loads and loads. But it never really feels. I almost feel like there needs to be a point in putting another album out. Like until we start to find a reason, it almost just feels a bit too kind of like, I don't know, overly commercial or something. Like we're just doing it for the sake of doing it to like tick a box. But I like to just either something happens in my life or someone else's life, or a massive event in everyone's life like this, or I kind of stumble across like a different way of working, whether it's like using more keys or instead of guitar, or using production and drums and things like that to start songs like we did on Power. So I'm still trying to figure that out, even although I could probably say to you that, I mean, I've probably got like 12, maybe more new songs. Until there's that sort of like reason, I never really think about it as a body of work. Wow, I'm sounding like this is getting quick. Is this a TED talk?
It is now, buddy. It is now.
Eyebrow.
We've gone down this route now in these crazy times. It's how we're getting into it. But that makes perfect sense, though. You don't want to put a label on something until you know what it's going to be and you know how you want it to be, I suppose, and putting those pieces together all separately. I guess that makes sense.
I think I just got like, I don't know whether it's because I went to art school and I was just, that was like drilled into my head, that there has to be a reason to doing something, even if the reason is for it to be pointless.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yeah.
It makes sense. No, it does make sense for sure. It's funny kind of looking back on, like you say, over a decade of work and stuff. Something I meant to bring up last time, and we definitely should talk about. It's just passed only a couple of months, 10-year anniversary of your debut, basically. I guess that would have been September, I would have thought. Yeah, I think it was about that time.
What do you class as our debut, out of interest?
Vivarium, I would say. Is it full length? Yeah.
Different people think it's different things. I don't even know what ours is.
So hang on, what would you call your debut then?
Well, if I was talking to you, I would know that you meant Vivarium, but other people I would be talking to, I would say it's free, because because Vivarium was sort of like, there was a couple of songs on there from previous releases, like an EP we did ourselves, and then a song that we did through King Tut's, had the venue in Glasgow, King Tut's had their own label, and then there was like random songs that were written like years apart, and we just put it all together and put it out to kind of get the ball rolling. And it's funny because a lot of people say to me like that's their favourite Twin Atlantic album, and like it's so cohesive, and but really
accidentally cohesive, I suppose. Yeah,
it was mad. The process was mental, and even recording it was a nightmare, man. Like we went to America. We were supposed to only go for maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and we recorded it live, like without a click, all in the one room.
Wow.
Which is a dying old art form. So when like Dave Grohl talks about all that stuff and does his documentaries about it, saying, "Oh, bands these days don't know what it was like," I fucking know.
You can tell him. You can tell Dave exactly what it was like, man.
Well, we didn't do a very good job because we had to re-record it all, so the joke's on me. But to get to my point is, God, my mind's wandering because I've been trapped inside, obviously. But
dude, we're all trapped. Don't worry.
I know. The thing with Free was that was written as an album. Like I remember going, okay, I'm going to write an album, and we worked with Gil Norton, because the producer, because he had done so many albums. Like the whole kind of like process of thinking was like album. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose I class that as our debut album. But
yeah. But if we take debut as the first thing people heard, I'm going Bavarian.
I know.
Hey, I love them both. It all works. It all works, man. But I guess looking back on that time as well, it's a standard question we throw out all the time, but I'm always fascinated by the answers. If you could go back now to the beginning of Twin Atlantic and around that time, is there any advice that you've learnt now in all these years that you would go back and say to yourself? It's a tough one.
It is, because it's probably a really boring answer. I don't know. It's probably just like stop trying so hard, because as soon as I cared less and stopped really trying to be good, or stopped trying to be funny, or stopped trying to be a fucking rock star, or stopped trying to be this thing that, I don't know, stop trying to be a version of this imagined thing. Just like be yourself, and like if it's good, it's good. If it's not, like don't worry about it. I don't know. But then, am I just saying that because I'm now looking back and it's easy for me to say that? I don't know.
Back to that confidence thing, man.
I know.
It's back to that confidence thing.
Like I'm saying, as soon as we stopped trying, and I mean down to like the degree of like, I used to sit and fucking like individually tune every string on the guitar and fret it, and then do that take, and everything it was perverse, man, how perfect I was trying to make it. And as soon as I stopped trying to do that, the actual songs got better, and then people seemed to connect more to just the essence of what we were either singing about or what our band represented. So yeah, stop fucking trying so hard, would you? That's my advice.
Nice. Learning to relax over the years. That's the way forward, man. Mate, it's always really, really good catching up with you. One more thing I do want to comment on, I guess. What are your remaining plans for this weird time we find ourselves in? Obviously, writing music.
Yeah.
Have you thought about, I mean, I know loads of people doing the live stream stuff. Some people are doing like Q&As. Have you figured any ideas brewing?
This is the first thing I've done.
Oh, nice.
Now. That's like, well, external world work related, I suppose. But I don't see the live streams. I would love to do that. Excuse me, but there was so many people doing it, and there's still so many people doing it that I kind of feel like, you know what? I'm going to wait until people are really fucking bored and really, really, really need it. There's no point trying to like compete with Chris Martin at the beginning and stuff like that. You know, just like let that happen.
Hey, there's room for everyone on the internet. That's what I'm saying, man.
But my plan is just to, I don't know, to be in this room, try and like make the most of it, make music, spend time with my family, cook, eat as healthily as I can. I've started drinking a lot more. I need to watch that. I don't like.
I think we all have, man. Yeah. It's a dangerous one.
I'm looking to try and start a really long, in-depth season of something on TV. I was looking at The West Wing. I don't know if I'd even enjoy it.
You've never seen The West Wing?
I've never seen it, and by the way, that surprises a lot of people because I'm quite into American political drama, or is it / documentary? Because it's all meant to be written from truth, right? But I'm a huge TV movie buff, so this works quite well for me being locked at home.
Yeah,
I was saying to our manager, like, if you're in a band, especially if you've toured in a van at any point ever, you're already mentally halfway there.
Yeah, you're almost prepared a little bit, I guess. Yeah. Obviously, very different circumstances, but I suppose you're right. Being able to cope with the boredom from that perspective, totally, must be ready.
I've spent I don't know, maybe done like a 36-hour drive or something like that, and then got to a venue and you need to stay inside, and then I don't know, it's not really normal. That almost feels like isolation in a way anyway, but not that I'm really enjoying this, but I'm just trying to see the positive sides of it all.
You got to do it, man. You got to see the positive sides. I'm glad, you're keeping safe. Glad you're working hard. I hope the boys are all keeping safe as well, the rest of the lads. Yeah. And all the best to you, man. I hope we get to do this face-to-face at some point, sooner rather than later, I hope. But all the best to you, man. Good to chat to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice one. All right, Sam, everybody.